Okay, so tomorrow you have a quiz on lessons 4.4, 4.5, 4.6. Tomorrow on the quiz, you're going to be given questions where I'm going to give you a picture of a triangle, and you're going to have to identify which one of the 5 shortcuts you could use to prove the triangle's congruent. That will be 60% of the test. The other 40% is going to come from one proof. Keep in mind that stating the given in your proof is worth points, so do not leave it out. And then another little hint, remember the last statement of your proof is what you're trying to prove, and the way that you will prove it is using one of the 5 shortcuts. That will be your last statement. Yes?
There's a part on the second page that has all this distance stuff.
All right, we're going to look at this in a minute. So for that was to prove if the sides were congruent. You had to do that in the homework.
Yeah.
More than likely not on the quiz, but possibly on the test.
But not on the quiz.
Not on the quiz. You're not going to have to do the 6 distance problems like you had to do in the homework. All right, so on the quiz, the question will look like the examples here, 1 through 6, where I'm going to give you a picture of a triangle. Now, I'm not going to give you this statement. You're going to have to come up with the statement and the postulate or theorem that would prove them congruent. Now, this is a perfect example. Notice we have a pair of congruent sides here with AB congruent to CD. And then I also have side AD congruent to BC. Where would be my third side that I could show congruent?
BD.
Okay, by what?
The reflexive.
The reflexive. So if this were your proof, you would have stated that side AB is congruent to CD because it was given. AD congruent to BC because it was given. And then the third piece that you would have needed was BD congruent to BD by reflexive. And the postulate for your last statement or theorem would have been side, side, side. So on the quiz tomorrow, you're going to tell me which theorem or postulate, and then you're also going to give me the statement. And the way you're going to come up with the statement is you're going to look at the marks. If your letters are not in the right order, it's wrong. So notice I could show that AB, and you could start by showing the congruence. So I would write AB for the one triangle, and notice it matches with CD. So over here I'm going to write CD. And I can put little triangle symbols. And then notice you can just put in the last letter. So for the triangle AB, and then it goes to D, you could put the D here. And then for here, it goes from C to D to B. Don't automatically assume it's going to be in ABC order. Yes?
Is side angle, angle, and angle, angle side the same thing?
Say that again?
Is side angle, angle, and angle, angle side, is that the same thing?
Side, angle, angle, and angle, angle, side. We don't have, you would say it as angle, angle, side. We didn't learn it as side, angle, angle. So all that is it's 2 angles and not the included side. Yes. Okay, so this is how it's going to be presented to you. All you're going to get is the triangle. Then you are going to provide the statement, the congruency statement, and the postulate or theorem that proves them congruent. I don't want to see any answers that say none. All of the triangles have one of the 5 reasons. And again, some of them have 2. However, if you're just trying to cover yourself and put more than one, and one of them's wrong, I'm marking the entire question wrong. So it's in your best interest to just give me one. Don't chance it. Give me the one you know for sure. So this lesson, lesson 4, the only shortcut that was taught in this lesson was side, side, side. So it was easy when you learned it individually. But now when you're going to get all the different triangles, you're going to have to distinguish which one it is. So on the second page, this is where you had to prove that they were congruent by doing the distance formula. You had to do this in the homework. You will not have to do this on the quiz tomorrow. It may potentially be a test question. The test is not made yet, so I don't know for certain. But for the quiz tomorrow, you will not have to know the distance formula. Then here's the answers for that study guide. Then the next one, this was lesson 4.5. This is where we learn shortcuts, side angle side, and hypotenuse leg. And again, remember, just because you see a right angle, don't automatically assume that it's hypotenuse leg. And also, if it's not indicated with the right angle, even though it looks like it's 90 degrees, you can't assume it unless you see that little box there. So for this one, let's look at a couple of these. So on this one, I see a congruency mark here from P to Q, and it's matching to R to Q. Then I see T to Q and Q to S, and then I have a pair here. So notice as you go around the triangles, side, then it hits the angle, then it hits the side as you travel around the outside, and it matches with side, the angle, and the side. When you're doing side angle side, the angle must be the included angle. It has to be the one created by the sides. Good so far? And again, remember, I'm only providing the picture. You're going to give me the statement and the theorem or postulate. So each one of these questions will have 2 answers. Good so far? All right, next slide. This is an example of a proof. Oh, several. So we actually have some proofs that you can practice. 2 proofs here, 4 and 5. And again, the answers are on the last page. So I recommend you do as many proofs as you can as practice. And then 4, 6, this was the last 2 shortcuts. And this was angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. Now, all of the pictures on the quiz tomorrow will have letters, so you can come up with your statement. On this picture here, you could identify which theorem or postulate. However, you wouldn't be able to give the congruency statement because there's no letters. And here again is a proof. It says to write a flow proof. However, the concept is the same. You're still going to pull in the same reasons and statements that you would have done if you were doing a 2-column proof. So here are some proofs. Any questions for tomorrow's quiz? So again, on the quiz, up at the top, I'm going to state, questions 1 through 10. And it'll say the instructions. The answers are either going to be, and I'm going to list them, hypotenuse leg, side, angle, side, angle, side, 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 and angle, side, angle. So up at the top, it's going to say 4 questions, 1 through whatever, use one of these to prove the triangle's congruent. So they're listed there, so you don't have to remember which one is a valid, acronym and which one's not. And then it's also going to say to identify the congruent triangles and give the congruency statement. And what I mean by that is you would say like triangle ABC is congruent to triangle XYZ. Again, remember the order of the letters is important. If that should have been the answer and you told me that it was BAC, you would get it wrong. So the order of how you write it is important. Okay? Make sure all of the corresponding parts match. So again, 60% is just identifying this and giving the congruency statement, and then the other 40% is the proof. And again, you have your practice A and B that you can go back and review, plus these study guide questions. And you also have your textbook that you could also refer to. Yes?
How many points will be on it?
1.
And it's like you do it like
You're doing the whole thing yourself. And it'll be an easy proof. It's not going to be a difficult proof. So don't get overwhelmed. Okay? And again, don't forget to list the given because you're leaving points behind. Just throw all that given in right away, step 1. And then the last statement is going to be one of these after you've put in all the stuff that you need to justify it. I will be here in the morning for any last minute questions. And then tomorrow I will be giving you back your test. So I will finish up grading them. And after the quiz, not before, I'll give you back your test. More examples.